Welcome to Cowboys Nation News. Today's show comes with a heavy dose of updates that may not bring the best news for fans, especially regarding Micah Parsons and the ongoing contract situation. Adam Schefter has once again delivered what feels like a sizable update, though unfortunately, it is not a positive one. The relationship between Micah Parsons and the Cowboys appears to be heading toward a separation, and the dynamics around this contract negotiation are starting to resemble some of the past high-profile situations we've seen in Dallas. While there's always a chance that a deal could eventually be made, as Schefter pointed out, there is absolutely no indication at this time that such a deal is imminent. The tension has escalated to a point where both sides seem to be stepping back and waiting, leaving fans in a state of uncertainty and frustration. To put it in perspective, we didn't hear rumors of a divorce with CD Lamb, though Dak Prescott's contract situations have drawn similar headlines in the past. There were moments when reports suggested that Dak might be headed toward free agency, signaling the potential for a fallout with the Cowboys, and now, a very similar scenario seems to be unfolding with Micah Parsons. The truth is, since the moment the trade request was made public, there's been virtually no movement from either side. Parsons' camp has made it clear that they will not initiate contact anymore. It's up to the Cowboys, and specifically the Jones family, to reach out and bridge the divide. This inaction reflects an organizational failure that is hard to ignore. The fact that both sides were reportedly very close to an agreement months ago, yet now find themselves at an impasse, is nothing short of embarrassing for Dallas Cowboys fans. Hurt feelings, bruised egos, and a general lack of progress have all contributed to the current stalemate. Jerry Jones, as always, seems to believe that a phone call could fix the situation, but the reality may require a far more significant approach. While money can certainly smooth over many issues, and a contract offering $45 million per year would undoubtedly resolve several financial concerns, the emotional and strategic dynamics of this negotiation are much more complex. For now, the percent chance of reaching a deal remains highly uncertain, leaving fans to speculate and debate in comment sections across social media platforms. Some envision a scenario in which the Jones family decides to make amends, recognizing that letting pride and ego dictate negotiations was a mistake. In this scenario, they could offer Micah and his agent the terms they want, perhaps shortening the contract from 5 years to 4 while ensuring it includes record-setting guarantees. Such a deal would be difficult for Parsons' camp to refuse, and it would ultimately allow the Cowboys to retain 3 years of team control, factoring in the 5th-year option and potential franchise tags. The financial flexibility that comes with finalizing a contract early would benefit the team and provide some stability in planning the salary cap, allowing for long-term roster management without severe constraints. If a deal isn't reached before the season begins, the Cowboys could be forced into a path similar to the one they navigated with Dak Prescott's franchise tag. In this situation, Micah might play the season under the tag, with his camp potentially resisting new contract discussions until after the season concludes. This path could culminate in a trade or a delayed negotiation, depending on how the season progresses and the stances of both parties. Despite the uncertainty, it is widely expected that Parsons will play rather than miss out on his game checks, making any delay in a new contract more of a timing issue than a refusal to perform. However, if the season proceeds without a deal, next year could see the Cowboys deeply embroiled in discussions about trading Parsons or leveraging his position in negotiations, marking a potentially historic standoff between player and team. The situation is far from ideal, and while a resolution is possible, it will require careful maneuvering, strategic concessions, and likely a recognition from both sides of the mistakes that led to this impasse. While the Micah Parsons contract saga dominates the headlines, there are other areas of concern for the Cowboys heading into the season. ESPN's Todd Archer has highlighted several key points that could lead to roster moves beyond just Parsons' situation. One of the most pressing issues is the quarterback room behind Dak Prescott. Backup quarterbacks Joe Milton and Will Grier have not performed up to expectations, and the Cowboys explored other options in free agency, including attempting to sign Jacoby Brissett, though that did not materialize. The challenge now is that finding a reliable backup at this stage of the preseason is exceedingly difficult. Many of the top-tier free agents are either unavailable, underperforming, or potentially retired. Names like Carson Wentz, C.J. Beathard, Ryan Tannehill, and others present challenges either in terms of skill, familiarity with the Cowboys system, or long-term fit. Trade possibilities exist, such as exploring options with Jameis Winston or other experienced backups. But again, the timing and cost may not align with the team's needs. At this point, it seems likely that the Cowboys will head into the season with Milton and Greer as the primary backups, while Dak remains the starter, leaving the team potentially vulnerable should injury or poor performance strike early in the season. The secondary also presents significant concerns. Key players like Trayvon Diggs and Sione Relaford are recovering from injuries, and Kalen Carter's absence from training camp raises additional questions about readiness. The remaining secondary personnel, including Izzy Muhammad, Andrew Booth, Keen Hall, Zion Childress, and potentially Troy Pride, will need to step up in a challenging defensive schedule. Diggs' return, potentially as late as the end of September, would provide a crucial boost, but the early games will be a test for a unit that is not yet fully healthy. The Cowboys' defensive backs have shown flashes of competence in preseason games, but facing top-tier receiving talent in the regular season will be a far greater challenge. Depth, versatility, and resilience in this group will be critical, as injuries or underperformance could significantly impact the team's defensive stability. Beyond the quarterback and secondary issues, the defensive tackle position remains a concern. While Mazie Smith has shown potential, he is not yet considered a true solution, and additional veteran help may be required. Historically, the Cowboys have addressed similar needs late in the summer, adding experienced players to bolster depth and performance. Finding a quality defensive tackle at this stage in the offseason is not easy, and the team may need to explore free agency or practice squad options to reinforce the defensive front. This ongoing gap in talent has been evident since early spring, with multiple reminders throughout the offseason that the position remains a weak link. If unaddressed, it could create significant challenges in games against strong offensive lines, potentially limiting the effectiveness of the pass rush and run defense. Left tackle is another area that warrants attention, though perhaps less urgently than other positions. Tyler Gayton's knee injury raises questions about availability. As the Cowboys prepare for the upcoming season, the tension surrounding Micah Parsons continues to overshadow many other aspects of the team's planning and preparation. The defensive standout has become both a symbol of promise and a source of uncertainty. Fans remain divided, with some believing the situation can be salvaged through negotiation and mutual understanding, while others fear that pride, miscommunication, and past mistakes may lead to a prolonged standoff. Parsons' agent has made it clear that the player will not initiate further contact, placing the responsibility squarely on the Cowboys' leadership. In many ways, this mirrors previous high-profile contract disputes in the league, yet it is uniquely complicated by the intense media scrutiny and the high expectations placed upon the Dallas franchise. The optics are crucial. Any perceived misstep could further inflame public perception, potentially undermining fan confidence and player morale alike. Meanwhile, the Cowboys' coaching staff faces a delicate balancing act. They must keep the locker room focused, motivated, and disciplined while navigating the uncertainty surrounding one of their most impactful defensive players. Mike McCarthy and his assistants have been working tirelessly to ensure that game plans, practice routines, and team cohesion remain intact, but the constant media questions about Parsons' status create an unavoidable distraction. Young players, while resilient, cannot entirely escape the ripple effects of such a high-profile negotiation. Conversations about trust, leadership, and accountability inevitably arise when a star player's availability or contract situation becomes a public spectacle. McCarthy's challenge is to maintain stability while simultaneously preparing for multiple potential outcomes, whether Parsons signs a long-term deal, plays under the franchise tag, or is traded before the season's midpoint. The broader roster is also under scrutiny, with multiple positions requiring attention to depth, performance, and versatility. Defensive backs, as mentioned previously, are recovering from injuries and must adapt to an intensified schedule. Trayvon Diggs' potential late return will help, but the absence of key personnel in the early weeks could create vulnerabilities that opponents are likely to exploit. Additionally, the team's linebacker core, aside from Parsons, must step up both in leadership and on-field execution. Emerging players must demonstrate reliability in coverage, run defense, and situational awareness. Any lapses could affect overall defensive schemes, forcing coordinators to adjust play calling and risk exposing other weaknesses along the line of scrimmage or in the secondary. Depth, in this context, is not merely about having substitutes, but about ensuring that every rotation maintains a high level of performance without compromising the integrity of the defensive strategy. Offensively, the Cowboys face challenges that, while less headline-grabbing than Parsons' contract saga, are nonetheless significant. Dak Prescott, while healthy and ready for the season, cannot carry the team alone. Receivers must execute precise routes, avoid injuries, and maintain chemistry with the quarterback. The offensive line, beyond the left tackle concerns, must operate cohesively to provide both protection and run-blocking efficiency. Gaps or inconsistencies in performance could result in lost yards, turnovers, or missed opportunities during critical moments of a game. Each position is interconnected, and even a minor deficiency in execution can ripple across the field, affecting both play outcomes and overall team confidence. Coaches are acutely aware that preparation, adaptability, and depth will define the offense's success in the early season, particularly if key players are unavailable or underperforming. Special teams, often overlooked by casual observers, also demand careful attention. Kicking, punting, coverage units, and return specialists must execute with precision. A single lapse in coverage or a missed field goal can drastically alter momentum and impact the result of closely contested games. The Cowboys front office has evaluated performance, analyzed statistics, and reviewed past season trends to ensure that special teams can deliver consistency and reliability. These units may not receive the same media attention as Parsons or Prescott, yet their contributions are vital to maintaining field position, scoring opportunities, and defensive positioning. As training camp progresses, the interplay between physical readiness and mental focus becomes increasingly apparent. Players must be conditioned to withstand the physical demands of the NFL while simultaneously navigating the psychological pressures of high-stakes competition. The constant media attention, contract negotiations, and public scrutiny create a layered challenge that requires resilience, discipline, and leadership from both veteran players and emerging talent. Coaches and staff work behind the scenes to monitor workloads, manage recovery, and maintain a positive team culture, understanding that mental and emotional well-being is as critical to performance as physical health. One of the more subtle yet important aspects of the Cowboys' preparation is their approach to strategic flexibility. Offensive and defensive coordinators are exploring multiple schemes, package variations, and situational adjustments to adapt to diverse opponents. Defensive game plans must account for evolving offensive trends, while offensive strategies must counter aggressive defensive fronts. Flexibility ensures that the team can respond to injuries, unexpected performance fluctuations, and mid-game challenges without losing coherence or efficiency. This approach requires not only tactical acumen, but also a high level of communication and trust among players, coaches, and support staff. Each participant must understand their role, anticipate contingencies, and execute with precision under dynamic conditions. Fan engagement and public perception continue to play an outsized role in shaping the narrative surrounding the Cowboys. Social media platforms, sports talk shows, and online forums amplify every report, rumor, and official statement. This creates a feedback loop in which player performance, organizational decisions, and media narratives influence fan sentiment, which in turn affects player motivation and public discourse. Maintaining transparency, providing accurate information, and managing expectations become crucial responsibilities for both the front office and team representatives. Missteps in communication can escalate tensions, fuel speculation. As the season approaches, anticipation grows. Fans, analysts, and commentators alike are focused on the unfolding drama, the evolving strategies, and the readiness of a team with championship aspirations. The coming weeks will be pivotal in shaping the Cowboys' trajectory, testing both leadership and talent, and revealing whether the organization can harmonize its ambitions with the practical realities of the NFL. Every practice, meeting, and adjustment carries significance, setting the stage for a season in which preparation, adaptability, and determination will define both individual success and collective achievement. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest updates on the Dallas Cowboys. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. Whispers around the league have reached a fever pitch as speculation swirls regarding the Dallas Cowboys' latest acquisition, and the potential ramification for the entire NFL are sending shockwaves through both fans and analysts alike. Sources close to the organization hint that the Cowboys have officially secured a deal with none other than Aaron Donald, widely regarded as one of the most dominant defensive players in the history of sport. The mere prospect of Donald donning the star on his helmet has triggered an intense debate over what this could mean for the Cowboys' defensive identity. Industry insiders suggest that this move is not merely about bolstering an already talented roster, but rather a calculated attempt to craft a defense that borders on invincibility. Rumors suggest that coaches and strategists have been meeting in secret, meticulously plotting how to integrate Donald's unique skill set into schemes that could potentially redefine the standards of defensive football. Social media chatter has amplified the intrigue, with fans speculating about how offensive lines across the league will respond when faced with what could be, according to these whispers, a wall of terror capable of crushing running games, disrupting quarterbacks, and forcing turnovers at unprecedented levels. The secrecy surrounding the contract details only adds fuel to the rumor mill, as analysts scramble to assess the long-term implications of such a high-profile acquisition for Dallas and the league as a whole. Speculation ranges from immediate championship contention to a strategic dynasty built on fearsome defensive prowess, and every insider report seems to suggest that Aaron Donald's presence will transform the Cowboys into a team whose very name evokes dread across locker rooms nationwide. In the background of these discussions, sources claim that veteran players are buzzing with excitement at the prospect of learning from Donald, suggesting that his influence could extend far beyond the field, shaping locker room culture, mentoring younger talents, and elevating the franchise's overall competitiveness. Rumors abound that even rival teams are quietly reassessing their draft strategies and free agent priorities in anticipation of facing a Cowboys defense unlike any other in recent memory. The atmosphere surrounding this potential signing is one of suspense, speculation, and intense anticipation, leaving both casual observers and diehard fans on edge as they imagine what the upcoming season could hold, with Donald anchoring a defensive line already teeming with talent, potentially creating a defensive juggernaut that might just redefine what it means to play defense in modern football. League insiders have continued to fuel the frenzy, with multiple sources indicating that the Cowboys front office has been working tirelessly behind closed doors to ensure a seamless transition for Aaron Donald into Dallas defensive schemes. According to whispered reports, the coaching staff has been conducting exhaustive video sessions, analyzing opponents' tendencies to maximize the impact of this newly fortified defensive line. Analysts speculate that the combination of Donald's sheer power, agility, and relentless pass-rushing ability with the Cowboys' existing talent could result in a defensive unit capable of dominating games in ways rarely seen in contemporary football. Rumors suggest that strategic adjustments may include rotating Donald across multiple positions along the defensive front, exploiting mismatches against offensive lines unprepared to handle his ferocity. Sources close to the team hint at a renewed sense of urgency in practice sessions, with players reportedly inspired and energized by the presence of a player widely regarded as a clever rotations and depth utilization, ensuring that Donald's presence remains consistently disruptive across all 17 games. and perhaps beyond in a playoff contest where every possession carries enormous stakes. Fan communities have latched onto this speculation, generating detailed breakdowns, mock scenarios, and predictive analyses that blend rumor, insider information, and passionate interpretation, further fueling the perception that the Cowboys' defensive evolution is on the brink of historic proportions. In these discussions, the underlying theme is clear. The potential presence of Aaron Donald in Dallas is not merely a personnel move, but a catalyst for redefining the defensive landscape of the league. An insider suggests that the ripple effects of this rumored acquisition could reverberate far beyond the field, reshaping narratives, expectations, and the collective imagination of football enthusiasts nationwide. Finally, the buzz surrounding the rumored signing has reached unprecedented levels, with insiders and observers alike speculating about the long-term implications for both the Cowboys and the NFL as a whole. Sources hint that Aaron Donald's arrival could catalyze a defensive philosophy that blends intimidation, innovation, and relentless aggression, fundamentally altering how games are played, how offenses prepare, and how future talent is developed. Analysts whisper that his presence could provide a generational opportunity for young defensive players to refine their craft under the guidance of a universally respected veteran, potentially elevating the entire unit's performance while setting new standards for consistency, toughness, and tactical intelligence. Rumors suggest that behind the scenes, coaches are exploring novel formations, situational adjustments, and specialized rotations designed to fully leverage Donald's disruptive abilities, creating a defense that is not only powerful but flexible enough to adapt to any opponent. Fan speculation has reached fever pitch, with countless scenarios imagined where the Cowboys' defensive front dominates time of possession, forces turnovers, and creates scoring opportunities by destabilizing offenses before they can establish rhythm. Sources indicate that this potential signing could also influence draft strategies across the league, as rival teams scramble to counteract what could become the most formidable defensive front in recent memory, rethinking offensive line priorities, quarterback protection schemes, and overall game planning. Rumors persist that this strategic approach is part of a long-term vision aimed at redefining the franchise's identity, emphasizing defensive excellence as the cornerstone of sustained competitiveness and potential championship contention. Analysts speculate that Donald's reputation, combined with the team's emerging defensive talent, could create a psychological edge, making the Cowboys a team feared before games even begin. Insiders hint that the locker room atmosphere is charged with anticipation, competitive energy, and a renewed focus on discipline and execution, as players prepare to align with the vision of a defense of nightmares that could dominate the league for years to come, all while fueling endless rumor-driven speculation about the true extent of this transformative acquisition and its impact on the landscape of professional football. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Dallas Cowboys, please subscribe to our channel and give this video a like. We always look forward to your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.